Hey dudes and chicks, welcome back. Wow. First off, I apologize for the excess noise in the background. I got the fan running. It is just too darn hot out here to not run the fan. But today, I wanted to show you guys a nifty little knife I picked up. This is made by Sword from New Zealand. And it's the Peasant's knife. That's all it is, just a free swinging knife and handle. I love this thing, man. This thing is awesome. It's a good high carbon steel. I'm not sure the exact kind, but I mean, you can look that up online. I don't really care because it's just a knife is a knife, and this was cheap enough. It was 15 bucks. It was about the price of a Mora, and man, that thing's razor sharp. I had to do a little work on the very tip here when I first got it because it wasn't ground properly, but took care of that. But it's a nice little knife. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of mechanisms into it, and you know, it's good carbon steel. So right here with that handle, flint and steel, heck yeah, works like a charm. It's great. Budget knife, 15 bucks. Could run this through the ringer for you, but you know, it does about the same thing as a Mora, so I'm not going to even worry about that. But what we are going to do today is replace this handle. For double the price you can get one with a wooden handle, but I didn't see the point because I'm after the blade. I'm not after the handle. But this is just old cheap old polypropylene handle, which is essentially the same stuff as styrofoam. It's just compacted and it's just a real cheap plastic. So I thought to myself, that's no big deal. I can make my own handle. Made my own knives. Might as well make a handle for this one. So we're going to experiment with that today and see what we come up with. So let's get started. Okay, so here's the plan. I got this little plank of oak left over from whenever I did the little Monster cigar box guitar. This was what I used for the fretboard. Oak is a really cool wood. It's nice, hard wood. It's got a really cool looking grain texture to it. Let's see if we can... There it is. So it's just got a really cool texture. That'll make an awesome grip for this knife. So that's what we're going to do here. First things first, I got to take the handle off of this. I'm not really sure what I'm going to get into with this, so let's just see here. It ought to be simple, right? It's just that's it. That's all it is. It's just a blade on a pivot. That's it. I see there's a pin down in there. Of course, there would have to be to stop this from going all the way inside. And looks like maybe on the end here, well, it's just nothing but a pin. Well, this axle, whatever you want to call it, but that way when it goes in, looks like it hits that pin on the inside. That's going to be hard to see. Let's see if we can zoom in on that. There, you can see it right there. Little brass pin. So cool. So let's take this thing apart and see what we wind up with in here. It's pressed in on one side, so that's going to be easy, hopefully. There's that. And that. Alright, so there's the essence of the knife. And there's that pin I was telling you about. Rests in there. Keeps from doing that. Oh boy, that just rides right on top of that, so that's cool. I'll have to make a change probably to keep that from happening, or else it's going to dull the tip of my blade. You can actually hear that. Not good. So there we go. So there's the knife. Pretty simple. There's the pin. Nose. That's just about as simple as it comes right there. Cool. So let me find something to put those in so I don't lose those things. Now comes the easiest part of the whole project here. Just simply lay these out on here trace them out, cut them out. I've got a sharper pencil than that. Yeah, that'll have to do. So I'm just going to take that, trace around the edge, which is cool. This will make it a little bit more oversized, so that'll give me a little bit of room to play with to try to work it just a little bit to give it the customization I'm looking for. And of course, I want to come in here and mark off these holes. Cool, so I'm going to cut these out and show you where we're at. Okay, here, so you can see that I just gave a rough cut out. I don't have a belt sander or a bandsaw or anything like that, so I got to do all this the hard way. Cut it out with a trim saw. You can use a hacksaw, a coping saw, whatever you want to use. But what I'm going to do is come back over here and just start cutting little wedges out around close to these lines, so that way I got a lot less I got to remove, and then we're going to shape these things together. Okay, so I've removed a whole bunch of this wood. So what I'm going to do is come back here and make a few marks with a Sharpie on each one of these. And I'm going to, all the wood I plan on removing here, I'm going to color in with this Sharpie. I'm going to experiment and use the bench grinder, because I think that might look kind of cool in the end. While I was sitting there trimming this stuff off, I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, if I use that bench grinder, it'll burn that a little bit, and that'll give it a really cool rustic feel, an old school feel. Because, I mean, after all, this peasant knife, I mean, these things were carried, I mean, back in the medieval days. I mean, that's exactly what it was. The old peasants, that was their knives. They made their knives out of whatever they could muster up, and using whatever tools of their trade, they had their little knife. Almost like a primitive prison shank, except they weren't prisoners. But if you lived a lifestyle like the old in the medieval times, probably prison might have been a lot more comfortable. So there, you can get an idea of the wood I'm going to remove on that. I'm going to do that one the exact same way. So what I've done is I've drilled these with very small holes. So I'll go back and redo that. But I bolted these together so that way my lines match up. I did like the original shape of the handle, so I wanted to keep that. So now what I'll do, since these will be all nice and lined up, is I'm going to go hit them on that bench grinder over there and start grinding off all this black, and then be ultimately left with this shape here. It'll be nice and even. I won't have one that sticks up higher than the other whenever I go back to reassemble the knife. So let's do that. There we go. There's the rough shape basically ground out. Both sides are pretty well even. So at this point, you come in with some sandpaper and smooth it out a little bit, or you can use a rasp, anything that you want to finish that out and get it nice and smooth around here, and then just round the edges off to you actually whatever your taste is on that, just like so. Okay, pardon the shaky camera here. I'm just gonna kind of freehand this, show you where I'm at. I have basically got a rough sanding on this, rounded off the edges here. Probably going to do a little bit more work on that, but it's kind of where we're at this point. I'll unbolt it and then give it a real good sanding in the end here, but to get all my shapes so this is all nice and smooth and even, and you can't even feel where one piece of wood ends and the other one begins. That's going to make a great knife handle. Perfect. You got a little bit of burn here, a little bit back there. Give it a little character. Okay, so there we go. It's all sanded up. Let that. There we go. nice, pretty. It got the cool little marks all over it. Still got the rustic deal. I went and cleaned these edges up a little bit. They were a little sharp, so they're just a little smoother now. Fits together nicely. That's a really nice, that's going to make a really great handle. So now I need to drill these holes, just like this one here. And these are countersunk as well, so that's going to be a challenge considering I don't think I have a countersink anywhere. But I've already picked out my drill bit. I fit it to this hole, which turns out it was a 7/32. Yeah, let's not use anything that's supposed to, let's not use anything normal. But with this wood I don't want to split it, so I want to just drill it nice and easy. Just let the drill bit do the work. And it keeps from splintering the wood. And of course that will have to be cleaned up a little bit, but that's no big deal. May have made a boo-boo here. I think that might have slipped a little bit. So let's see if we line up. Not really. That's going to be an interesting fix. So I'm going to put this together, and I'm probably going to have to hit it back on the sander a little bit. So I'm going to clean that up a little bit. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. I put my bolt in here so that way I can get this hole lined up about as much as possible. I'm just going to come back in here with my drill bit again. Alright, turn it. I'll line my handle out. And that clean that hole up just enough. So I can put that down in there. Now I'm going to crank it down good and tight. I'm definitely going to have to run this back over a little bit with some sandpaper. Now that I got my holes drilled, these are off just a little bit. There's a better way I probably should have done that. I probably should have taken these things now in hindsight, line these up, tape this together, and drill through both pieces at one time. So there's a note for you right there to fix that later. Okay, so I took these back apart. What I did is I cranked these down in here real tight so I can get a good mark around there, and took a drill bit and measured this countersink here. I don't have a countersink, and that one's also different. It's just a flat sink down in there. So what I'm going to have to do in this case is I measured it out, and it is a 3/8 bit. So what I'm going to do is just lightly do this, because what I did is just to make sure, see if I was actually going to need to do that, I put this in here like so, and then test fit my blade over it to see how much stuck up there, and you can see there's just a little bit right there, and it's not really quite enough for adjustment for later when I put this on there and then put that screw on the top. It's kind of snug because I'd have to really crank it down in order to get that to stay in that hole there. So I'm going to just very lightly wallow these out just a little bit, so these heads will go down in there a little ways. I don't really care if they go all the way down in there. I just want them far down enough where that little pivot point, this collar, goes up into the other side of the wood. So let's pray to the knife gods that we don't screw this up. Just, again, let the drill bit do the work. I'm just going to let it just kind of slowly carve on that. There you go. And you can kind of see that that's got a good drop in it. Now, somehow that got all clogged up. Won't quite be flush, but it'll be good enough. And I really don't want it to be flush. I want this to look good and rustic. But now it's time to get ready to put this pin in here. So I'm going to drop this right over that. and I want to just gauge that to about where I want that knife blade to sit. I don't want it to sit like this, and I don't want it to sit too far in, because I don't want this digging into my palm. So you got to find a happy medium that you like there. I don't want to do it exactly the way it was on the other one. So this is how I'm going to do it. This is the, where's the pin? There it is. This is the pin. This will wind up right here, and that'll be a good stop for that. Just like so. So I'm just going to mark that and drill it, and I got to do the same thing on this side, and I'll show you how I'm going to find that on the other side here before too long. And I had to find the right drill bit for the size of this pin, and it turned out to be a 9/64. My goodness, man, nothing normal here on this at all. There we go. I want my pin to ride right there. So I'm going to just kind of drill that a little bit, and once again, this is going to be one of those little deals. I'm just going to let this thing do its thing, because I don't want to go too far. If I go all the way in, if I go all the way through that, that's just going to ruin the way this thing looks. Test fit that. Alright, that was a little bit big. We'll use a, I'm just going to drop that pin in there. I'll leave that. We'll pull that blade out. I'll line this up right where I want it, which looks like right about there is going to be good. I'm just going to I'm just going to pop it with that a couple times, and it just leaves a real faint mark right there, just very, very faint. Then, if I can find that mark, I'll mark it with a pencil when I find it. There it is, right there. Now, that little mark. I'm going to do the exact same thing on this side. Put that there like so. Drop the blade in there. Now I got a good stop. There it goes. Put it all back together. And you can see there where I was talking about where that collapses down. So I'm going to loosen that. Get just a bit more tension up on this side. There. It's got a good stop in there, and I know you can't see that, but that blade down inside there is not touching that, so that was an absolute perfect placement. I can't complain. Now, knife opens, comes to a good stopping point, so now whenever I bear weight on that, it's not going to fold all the way back. So there. Peasant knife. There we go. The old peasant knife. Now it has a nice oak handle. There's a couple more things I'm going to do to this, but that gives you the gist how to make that. I'm probably going to shoot a little bit of polyacrylic on that, so it'll give it a good durable finish. And let me just show you here. These areas, I'm probably going to disassemble this one more time and put a little super glue or Loctite on these screws, so that way that's pretty well in a fixed position. I want this to have a certain feel to it whenever I do it. I don't want it too tight, I don't want it too loose, but I don't want it to fold up on my hand just by normal movement. And I don't want this bottom piece to collapse in like that. So what I'll do is I'll come back and I'll take these screws back out, put a little bit of super glue in there, lock the threads down where I want them, and I will probably even come in here and put some epoxy down in here and fuse these to the wood, so that way nothing moves, especially on this side. I really want to keep that gap the way it is right there. But that is an awesome knife. I really love this little Peasant knife. I was enjoying the heck out of this thing with its plastic handles already, but now nice good oak handles, just absolutely gorgeous. So there's another nifty little project for you. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out in the garage. I really appreciate it. And if you got anything you'd like to see, questions, whatever, please feel free to leave those things in the comments. I'm always looking for new stuff. And I also like to see what you guys do. I haven't seen a whole lot of things lately. I haven't had the time to get on YouTube, and I apologize for that, but I will be getting back out there very soon. And I still do get to go watch some videos, but not quite as much as I want to. And I really thank you guys for watching all my stuff. I know it hasn't been the best stuff in the world as of late, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So, until then, you guys try to stay cool in this awesome summer heat. Oh, I'll catch you guys later.